Hey, this is Dr. Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and ain't a thing you can do about it. Today with Coffee on Curry, listen, last week we had Brinetta Bright, who really did a phenomenal job talking about how it is to be an entrepreneur in the field of education. Today we have her daughter. Let me tell you, this young lady has been through a whole lot, done some great stuff in the society upon which she has been placed in. She's gone to 2 major universities. She's now serving as a director over at Linda's Angels, and I'm excited about it. And I want you to call somebody real quick. Tell them Coffee with Curry is on, and let's get after it. And we're back. Listen, today we have Brinetta Bright with us, and last week we had an opportunity to have Mom on the show, and Mom is the one who put all this together and made that center over there great. But listen, it takes the well-informed through the textbook in order to operate it right. So today we're going to use you as our professional in the educational field. Tell us before we get started a little bit about family.
Family has always been very important to me. Just from our childhood, I remember getting together at my grandparents' house, all the cousins, just being together, playing. And then I was also raised around children because of my mother having a daycare in the home. So even people who were not family by blood became family. So it's just something that's very important.
Yeah. And do you have any children?
I have one child.
Okay.
I have a son. He's 12.
12?
Yes.
Oh, wow. You're
12.
getting old, too. I remember when he was born, so that's excellent. That means I must be getting old, too. Okay. So now you had an opportunity to graduate from high school. What high school did you graduate from?
William Penn.
William Penn. Okay, there's some people I'm sure saying boo, but then you left William Penn. What happened? Where did you go from there?
I went to Maryland Eastern Shore for a year.
Okay.
And then I came back home and went to Wilmington University and finished off my bachelor's degree there.
Okay, good. And what was your degree? What is your degree in?
My undergrad is behavioral science.
Okay.
And then my graduate degree is school counseling.
Okay, good. So it's still related into the whole education field, both of them. And so I didn't get a chance to talk to your mom about your dad, but I often used to pick with one of your uncles about how your mom was so bright and genius, but we can't discount Dad, because Dad, she talked about him holding the weight when she couldn't take a salary. But can you just tell me a little bit about that, since you're a girl? Girls like to talk about their fathers.
My dad is, I always tell people, like, I prayed to find a man like my dad.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He is very humble.
Yeah.
He's his own person.
Yes.
For sure. But he's very smart. He is into computers. That was his career, computers. So anytime it's anything with a computer, my dad can fix anything. And my dad, he's never yelled, I don't think.
Maybe because Mom yelled all the time.
Yes. Like, he has one tone.
Yeah.
He doesn't yell. He's very calm.
Right.
He loves God. He's
Yes.
just a good example of what a man should be.
And you know, every girl would always hope that they have a father they can always use as their model for their man. So that was good to hear you say it. I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that as well.
Yeah.
So now we're at Linda's Angels Child Care and Development Center. When did you start over there?
Well, I was there since it opened in 2010. I was actually laid off. I was doing medical billing, and I was laid off, and my mom was like, if you want to do this, you can do it with me. It's not something I'm making you do. Just try it out. So I tried it out. I just knew I didn't want to work with the kids. I'm going to work with you, but I've been with these kids all my life. I actually did a TED Talk on childhood trauma, and in that TED Talk, I expressed how being with kids all of my life made me not want kids, not want to do anything with kids when I grew up. So going into working with her, I was like, I work as the director. That way I'm not hands-on with the kids. In the beginning, it was okay, and then I learned to adapt and I just prayed about it, and I found my purpose within it. I was able to define my own job and do what I wanted to do, and I love it now.
You love it now.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were at a seminar or something, and I saw you because Linda had come in, and you came with her, and I said, "Oh wow, she's going to come into the field." But I love the way you came into the field. It was something you didn't really want, but then you discovered it is what you wanted, but you just didn't see it that time. Yeah. Now, what do you do at the center?
So I do the hiring. I also do classes for the staff, like trainings. I do counseling also outside of the center, and I also help, like, since I specialize in school counseling, I learned about ADHD, autism, things, just disabilities. So usually if parents need a reference, they may come to me and I'm able to give them a reference. One of the big things is like employee morale. In this field, there's a high turnover rate, and it's because people don't feel appreciated. So I always try to make sure that even when people don't feel appreciated, there's always something you can do to make them feel appreciated. So I try to make sure that we have outings, like we're just, like, even we're like a family. We can come together and do fun things together. If there's a conflict, hopefully I can be the mediator and help people get over whatever they have going on. I talk to the parents when they have any type of problems, any type of issues. Help with enrollment, just different types of things. I help.
So you like the director?
Yes.
You like the, and you as we were talking to your mother last week, we talked about the fact that she did everything in the center. The only thing I haven't heard you've done yet is to clean, but you do just about and cook, but you do just about everything else.
I don't do too much cleaning, but sometimes I might need to help in the kitchen. Do a little bit of that.
Okay.
But yeah, not too much.
Yeah. With you're finding this as a new profound part of your life. You're now what is your official title?
The director.
Oh, so you are the director.
Yes.
Okay. So as the director, you have to deal with various things that are happening, and there's some person that's watching. I agreed with your mom last week that sometimes because of the pay, and you've already expressed it in the front end, we do other things to try to help with that scenario. But sometimes because of the pay, it causes us not to have people to stay committed to the field. How do you handle that? And before you even answer, you did a phenomenal job with doing a workshop here, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But how do you handle trying to maintain retention on this staff?
I think it has a lot to do with the culture of where you work. When people feel appreciated, they feel loved, they feel like their purpose is being seen, they are applauded. Those are things that help people want to stay, because you don't always feel that in this field. Right. Nobody wants to feel like they're just on your payroll and they don't matter. So I always try to make my staff feel like they matter. Like, one of the things I used to do was Mindful Monday. It kind of fell off since the pandemic. I'm getting back to it. But I would go over to intercom. Usually someone would pray. We would have a song play, and then I would give just a message, a meaningful message. And not only do I give that to the staff, but I also would send it to the families. And you would have people come in and be like, that was something I really needed today. Thank you for that. And I think just those little things and feelings of, like, even though you don't know what I'm going through, you are here to acknowledge me. It makes people feel good. On top of, of course, if you get incentives and bonuses and you can have life, dental, vision, insurance benefits, which are not always offered in this field because, like we said, the pay is not always there. It makes people more likely to stay. Yeah,
and I was sharing with your mother last week that we even have those benefits because she was the one who had given me the people who can help my staff with that. So she's done a whole lot. But I something else you said I wanted to jump on. Are you telling me I need to put you on our staff, our ministerial staff? Are you a minister now? I mean, you're supposed to be on that minister because you said you go over to the speaker and you give them a word. So I'll have to put you on the ministerial. I thought that was really good. So so that's good that you are able to keep them encouraged. Y'all just had a trip to Kalahari. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, that was really nice. It was just nice seeing that some people may have never been on a trip like that before. Okay. Some of the people who went with us. So it was amazing to see their appreciation and just like, even my friends. One of the greatest things about working at Linda's Angels is a lot of the kids that come there, I can humbly say maybe off of the strength of me because I went to school with their parents. Okay. And so I hear a lot like, I was always quiet in school. I kept to myself. Right. I stayed out of trouble.
You say in church too.
Yes, in church
that's
too.
Why I'm hearing you talk. I'm like feeling good about this.
I just was a very quiet person, but I had friends. So a lot of those people I went to school with, I now take care of their kids. And I think that's the enjoyment for me, saying none of my other kids went to daycare, but I'm sending my child here because I know you. Okay. And that says a lot about my character and that they trust me and my mom just because of knowing me as a child. And like my mom said last week, all the kids came to her house. All of my friends came to her house, so they know her, so they feel safe with their children being with us. So
yeah. Now with did you take the whole center or just the staff? How did that work?
It was the staff and their families. So their kids, their spouses, their significant other. Yeah. Well,
you couldn't take the pastor too? I wasn't eligible. I mean, I was waiting for my invitation. But I think that's just phenomenal because honestly, in the time that we're living in right now, where the pandemic has really hit in a very hard way, to let people know they appreciate it matters. Yeah. And that's very good. I want to, we're going to take a commercial break, but when we come back, I kind of want to talk about how did the pandemic kind of affect the staff and how you were able to swim and keep it rolling? Because your mother shared last week that y'all were able to survive all of it. So we're going to be right back.
Good afternoon, everyone. In life, we feel the safest thing for us to do is to run from trauma. I'm here to tell you today that the best thing for us to do is to stand in it, face it, and confront it in order for us to move past it and become our very best selves. Without confronting my trauma, I would never be where I am today. When my son was in the 2nd grade, he was diagnosed with ADHD. We went through the process of trying to figure out what was going on with him because I had just moved, purchased my first home. My grandfather had passed away, and also he was living in 2 different homes, one suburban home, one inner city home. All of a sudden he went to school and they started to talk about the different things they started seeing. He never had any of these issues before. About every day, they would call me, say he was emotional, he couldn't keep his shoes on, he was just upset, and this was something I didn't see at home. During this time, I was in my 1st semester getting my master's in school counseling. So I really zoned in on disabilities, learning disabilities within children. When I did this, I found out that African American children are more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD than other children because of their environments, the way they are growing up in their home life. When I found this out, I realized that there were things that I could do to help him, and I digged really deep into it. During this time, I was also a director at a child care facility where I served as director as well as counselor. At this time, we had 279 children with 37 staff, and I assisted my mother in opening this facility in 2010. So while all of this was going on, it seemed like right after I found this out about my son, every day there was a parent coming to me saying, something's wrong with my child. Do you know how I can help my child and assist them in this way? So as I'm learning about this to help my son, I realized this became a part of my purpose to help other people and their kids as well. So, is your childhood trauma haunting you? Okay. Everything you go through is a sum of who you are today. So my personal childhood trauma experience, I feel as though it may not be large to some, but it is big enough for me. In 1990, my mother opened a in-home childcare daycare. So when I went off to college in 2006, I didn't know who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. All I knew was I don't want to do anything with children. I felt like this because I was surrounded by them my whole life, so my goal was to get away from them. When I had my son in 2018, my heart softened a little bit. And then in 2010, when my mom was presented with the opportunity to open a child care center, and she asked me to help her, I really dug deep into if it was something I wanted to do. I realized this was something I wanted to do because now, well, I stated to her, I'll do it, but I don't want to work with the children. So when I decided that, I will come up with my own job description and opportunity for myself. So I decided to go back to school for school counseling. So I want to explain to you what trauma is. Any event beyond a person's ability to master at the time. Any occurrence that causes emotional upset or unfortunate lifestyle change. So my trauma created my purpose because I felt as though I did not want to do anything with children, didn't want to be around them. As I grew up and adapted, I realized it was something that I could not shake. It was in me to help people, whether they was children or adults. It was just naturally in me. So I show you this diagram, which is about ACEs. ACEs is an adverse childhood experience study, which is the first and largest research study that shows a direct association between childhood trauma and adult health. This study proves that the more adverse childhood experience a child has, the higher the likelihood of the child having disabilities, dysfunctions, swayed perceptions about life, health, and relationships. 1 in 6 adults experience 4 or more ACEs. As you can see, I call these the trees: abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. Up under them, I feel like those are the branches of the trees, and we'll soon get to the leaves. So think back. As a child, how many of you experienced death, lived in households with a single parent, experienced divorce or a move, was mentally, verbally, sexually, or physically abused, suffered from addiction at birth, grew up in a home with an adult with a substance abuse problem, grew up in foster care or was adopted, was a parent to your siblings, grew up in poverty, experienced illnesses, were homeless, had an incarcerated parent, or experienced a pandemic, which none of us here besides the small children can say they experienced as a child. Childhood trauma is present in 60% of American adults. So, like I said, I work with people of all ages, from 6 weeks to 90 years old. I've been surrounded by people my whole life. So some of the things that I see in and out, which are all of these things on a day-to-day basis, some people only may see on TV. But when you deal with these things so close and upfront, You can only want to help these people that have these childhood traumas so that you know they will do better as adults. Like I said, since 1990, my mom has had a child care center. So some of the kids that go to my center today were once kids in her center a long time ago. I see how they have developed. I've watched their families grow. And just knowing their situation and circumstances, some of them I'm happy to see to be where they are today. So what does childhood trauma cause in adulthood? As I said, it can cause ADHD, it can cause a lack of discipline, abandonment issues, low self-esteem and self-doubt, suicidal thoughts, lack of social skills, lack of discipline, extremely high value in material things, and the big one for me is a fear of flying. If you look at the pyramid, this shows the relationship between early childhood trauma and health and well-being problems later in life. So at the bottom, you see adverse childhood experiences, and as it goes up, you see it can lead to early death. No one is exempt from trauma. Today, we are all standing in the face of a pandemic. Being in this pandemic, we understand that we are not in control of the things going on around us, but we are only in control of who we are. So we must understand that we have to learn to work through our trauma to become our very best selves. 3 points in life when trauma becomes apparent. It becomes apparent when you have adult relationships, whether intimate or friendships, because you may realize you're afraid to get close to people. The moment you start to get close to someone, you draw back. You may be very defensive or lack a voice in a relationship. You may lack trust, or you may only communicate in a toxic manner or even run when it comes to communication. When it comes to pursuing your dreams, you may feel inadequate, lack resilience, discipline, consistency, and the ability to network and create relationships to help build your dream. When becoming a parent, trauma becomes present because you could be modeling to them who your childhood trauma created you to be. As for me, in becoming a parent, it showed me why I didn't want to work with children, and it taught me to love children again as I once did when I was smaller. Why is it important to come face to face with your trauma? So you can overcome and become your very best self. Without me becoming face to face with my trauma, I would have never been in the positions that I am today. I would never started counseling people. I would have never stayed as a child care director. I would have never dug deep into ADHD and loved childhood trauma as much as I do. And I will never be able to help people as much as I can with overcoming their childhood trauma. So some ways to help you confront your childhood trauma when it comes to the surface. You have to really question yourself, interview yourself. Why am I like this? When did I become this way? Create a list of things you can change about yourself and a list of things that you cannot. When you look at that list of things you can change about yourself, really dig into it and write down how exactly you're going to do it. When you look at the list of things you cannot change about yourself, focus on letting go of what you cannot change. How have you grown, and how will you grow past this situation or circumstance? In developing my courses, the first one I developed, I did this activity, this third activity. And I'm just going to read to you what I wrote to myself. This activity, you write a letter to the part of you that was lost due to trauma, asking you to return. In my letter, I wrote, "Dear self-love, I know you left because you were overweight, disappointed, angry, hurt, and upset that you became a parent at 19. It is now safe for you to return because you have accomplished so much and you have overcame your traumas, and you are a better person and a better mother because of it. I promise to cherish and not abandon you, even when I feel defeated. I miss you and I need you in my life because in order to be loved, I must love myself first. Please return so I can be whole. Love your 24-year-old self. So that was a letter that I wrote to myself when I realized what my trauma was and who I was becoming in life. Another thing you can do is simply write down your feelings, allowing yourself to see them on paper. Writing is very therapeutic. Write daily affirmations. Make sure you can see them throughout your house, in your office, in your bathroom, on your refrigerator, allowing yourself to tell yourself you are valuable, you are loved, you are a good mother, you will break generational curses. When you can see these things, even when other people don't tell you, you're constantly reminding yourself of your value and your importance. Talk to someone you trust, whether it's a friend, a family member, a counselor, or a therapist. And lastly, buy a candle. When you feel this trauma overcoming you, light that candle. When you light that candle, you want to do an activity such as run, walk, write, take a bath, talk to someone, and I always tell people for maybe about 15 minutes. Once you blow out that candle, you've done the activity to hopefully allow you to release that energy that you feel. One thing all children need today, more than anything, is an aware, loving, caring, resilient, and nurturing adult. When people come into my office to be interviewed, they don't have to be Einstein. They don't have to know everything. The one thing I need to look for is the fact that they love children, they care about children, and I know they will not mistreat them. Confronting and dealing with your childhood trauma is essential when parenting today. Even through childhood trauma, if a child has that one thing, it is more likely they will grow up and have a sense of confidence, compassion, resilience, trust, and a love for others. Always remember, if you are here today, you have accomplished surviving your trauma, which is a lesson in itself. No matter what happened to you, you are a survivor. Allow yourself to recognize your childhood trauma so that it will be your testimony and not your life's tragic trajectory. Always remember also, the one thing we can do in life is be our best authentic selves. And for me, my childhood trauma has made me healed and helpful. My name is Brinetta Bright, and thank you.
And we're back. Well, we had an opportunity to do some conversation, and we kind of left on that trip to Kalahari, and I know, as I got a little jealous because I wasn't invited. I'm sure you had other friends who probably said, "Why didn't they do this for me?" But you all survived the pandemic. And I was so impressed with the fact that you were able to survive. I think y'all were closed for a little bit, but for the most part, y'all were open and serving children. How did you survive it?
Honestly, God is how we survived it, because I've seen so many child care centers who are suffering, not having staff, or either just had to close down. Mm-hmm. We have gotten kids through this pandemic because of other child care centers having to close down. Mm-hmm. So it's honestly a blessing because the pandemic has been a terrible experience, but in all storms comes a blessing. And I feel like mainly for our staff and for myself, I can say our Linda's Angels staff made more last year through this pandemic than we've ever made in our Linda's Angels history. Excellent. So God supplemented everything that we needed, and we made it through. So it actually was a time for the staff to kind of not relax, but they didn't have to work as hard. Okay. But they were still getting paid more than what they would usually get paid. They had less kids. So now at this point, when it was time for all the kids to come back, it was like, all right, now y'all gotta get used to having all the kids again. They felt like they was no longer in ratios. Since the ratios were down, it was an adjustment to get back to the real world because they was used to having ratios of half of what they were used to. And so I feel like the pandemic was a lot mentally. It was draining, but overall, our staff did well, and just coming back into the real world was more of the process for us.
So how are they doing now?
Oh, they're doing great now. They're doing good now. We just opened the building up to the parents again. Of course, we got comfortable with the parents not coming inside. We would run the kids to the front of the building in the morning and then run them out in the afternoon, and it became the norm. So having the parents come in, and now all the teachers have to greet them and talk to them again, and they have to hear the concerns outside. I don't have to hear them anymore. The teachers have to hear them. So it's more of an adjustment for them, but it's just getting back into the real world.
Okay. Being a director of a major center, and that's how I look at it, and I'm not even saying it to throw any fluff. Do you have a mentor?
I would say my mom's always been my mentor.
Okay, that was a good political answer.
Yes. And then she also spoke about someone who used to work with us, Miss Johnson.
Okay.
Like my mom said, she knows every rule, every law, every regulation. So I have her number on speed dial. Anytime I have a question about anything, I call her up. Johnson, what am I supposed to do here? And she will just read it off to me and tell me. So she has been a great help to me in this field.
Yeah, and I think, even though I say it was a political answer, I know that for real, she has been a good role model for you, so that's great. And you said Miss Johnson's her name?
Yes.
And she has her own center now?
Yes.
Okay. So with her, with your mom being a mentor to you, what would you consider now being one of your challenges that you're trying to struggle through as a director?
I would say that with my mom is my mentor.
Okay.
But sometimes I have to put her in her place.
Well, she's the boss. What do you mean her place?
Sometimes I have to be my mom's mouthpiece.
Okay.
Because she can be very blunt.
Okay.
And you know, she wear her expression on her face.
Okay. All right.
They always say to me, you talk to that person, because if you talk to them, it's going to go well.
Okay.
It's just my tone, and I can kind of try to help them relate just because of life experiences and things I've been through with my own son and things they might be dealing with their child. So.
Does she let you take the charge to do that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
she would rather me take the charge.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Okay.
So I would say that's one of the things that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, no. So give me one joy that you're very happy about. You're the director, and give me one joy that you have of being the director.
One joy that I have is seeing the staff elevate.
Okay.
Because one thing my mom didn't say is before she went into this field, she was like, I guess, into the money field, just like accounting field.
Yeah.
So not only do the staff get benefits, but they also get help with their credit reports. She helps them with their credit. I have watched my mom give employees cars. I have watched her help them get houses and just bring their credit score up. And then for me, like I said, morale is a lot. You have to believe in yourself. You have to love yourself. And I see a lot of the staff that have a hard time with that. So helping them with that and see them become their best selves, I think is a great joy.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
My name is Hanifa Mahasin Shuaib Peters, and I have literally studied in the field of early childhood education for my entire life. No, literally my entire life. See, it started when I was born till about 8 years of age. I needed to figure out how this whole thing worked inside of me, how the theories worked, how I grew, how I developed. At 8, I started observing my friends, family, community members. By high school, I was a professional babysitter, and I could tutor with the best of them. Now, I took a small sabbatical in college because, hey, I figured I should try business out, and quickly learned that was not a profitable decision for me. So I ran back to the field of early childhood and achieved my master's degree in the field. And while I was so engrossed in the topic, I decided that I needed to have children of my own. Because, hey, we all need specimens to study, don't we? So I've had my 2 children, and I decided that this is not enough. So I'm back, and I'm working on my doctorate in educational leadership in early childhood education. But as I've studied in this field and worked in this field and fought in this field, I have learned you all have got preschool all wrong. I'm here today to share with you why preschool is more than just about kinder readiness. It's actually a significant social experience that parents, teachers, educators, politicians need to be very aware of. Now, it starts with statistics like this. See, there's all of these statistical studies out there that say, hey, the more preschool you get, the more successful you will be in life. So this study suggested that the higher level of the parent's education, the more likely that child will attend preschool versus parents with a lower level of education. And to me, this is like common sense. People with more education are likely to have careers, so they need people to watch their kids. So if you want to increase the number of kids in preschool, hey, maybe you might want to get people more jobs. And then they'll have some place to send their kids. But aside of that, statistics like these fuel initiatives, such as Universal Preschool for All, that suggest that, hey, the sooner we get kids in preschool settings, the more we'll be working on their development and get them ready for kindergarten. See, let me back up and tell you a little bit about what early childhood education really is. So early childhood education is the study of the growth and development and education of children between the ages of 0 and 8 years of age. Or you can also say between the ages of birth to 3rd grade, however you want to think about it. So these type of initiatives encourage us to think about, we want to get more kids in school, but it's fueled by this idea that as soon as we get them in school, they'll be more ready for kindergarten, therefore they'll be ready to be more successful in their academic years. So high quality preschool is supposed to look something like, we have happy kids, we have happy teachers, they're learning all of these traditional academic skills like reading, writing, arithmetic, and of course there's some social involvement there. Now, the preschool setting is a perfect time for both growth in the brain. We all know that, all the theories suggest it, but I'm here to tell you, I've worked in preschool for a couple of years now. Preschool looks nothing like this. Preschool looks more like this. You see, what happens is, during the preschool years, children are working on their personality. They're working on understanding how to work with one another, how to work with other people. It is about personality development. And I say that preschool is like a social microcosm from what's actually happening on with us as adults in the world today. See, I am a preschool teacher in my mind all the time. I have a 4-year-old and he's awesome. And the preschool conversations often go like this. Teacher, he's touching me. Teacher, I want that. That's mine. That's not yours. It's a lot of fighting. It's a lot of miscommunication. And it's a lot of things that deal with children needing to understand who they are in relationship to other people. See, we've gotten away from this idea that preschool is for that. And we begin to focus on this idea that we need to teach them how to read, how to write, how to do arithmetic. 90% of children's brains are developed by the time they are 6 years of age. So that doesn't mean that 90% of the knowledge they'll have, they have to get it by 6 years of age. It means that 90% of the neural pathways that you are using right now to process everything that I'm saying to you today is actually based on the information that you received during this time years. So I'm suggesting that we need to focus on using that 90% of time to focus on developing those interpersonal skills that are going to create excellent people. We want people who are culturally conscious of the things that they do. So I am implying that we need to stop focusing on building certain skills that technology will get children to learn today. See, we don't need to cram data anymore. If we get down to it, what do they really need to know how to read and write for at 4 years of age? They don't have jobs. They don't have anywhere to be. They don't have appointments to make. So we're putting so much energy into a certain period of their life when actually we should be reassociating all of that energy to developing the skills that we need them to have to be social human beings. Is it not that we want great people? Because I believe that great people are also great achievers, so we don't really lose out on much. And I believe that children need to learn to grow up to see social justice as a norm and not a request. I think that the early years of education should be used to set the foundation for developing culturally conscious, socially conscious, morally conscious, literate individuals capable of functioning as leaders responsibly within modern society. Now, let's be clear. Leadership has nothing to do with power or authority. Leadership has to do with progress and the ability to understand progress and initiate progress towards excellence in every field of human endeavor. Are those the type of children we are focused on raising today? Or are we focused on raising children who are good students? Do we need good students or do we need good people? So when you see that preschooler, don't think preschooler, think pre-leader. Think pre-member of society. What are you doing to make sure that these children are being put in a condition, being put in an environment that supports the development of those skills to allow them to socialize accordingly, to live in the world that we strive for them to have for the rest of their lives? So I ask each of you, if you really want to know how you contribute to society, take a moment to reflect on your childhood. Thank you.
And we're back. Listen, thank you so much. You just been giving me some of the good information as a director, and you're allowing people to see that being a director comes responsibility, not just all the flair. Is there a child, since you've been in charge, since you've been an educator, that you will always remember?
There is a child that I will always remember. I would say there's a couple, so okay. I have to pick one. One that I will always remember, his name was Daniel.
Okay.
He came to us when he was about 2 years old. Miss Wendy, who has been with us for very long, she's an older, sweet lady. She used to love him because he was autistic, and she kind of sensed it before he was diagnosed with it. Mm-hmm. So she tried to, in this field, you can't tell, you have to be very sensitive when talking to a parent. Mm-hmm. So she was very sensitive with this parent, but the parent just wasn't ready for it. Mm-hmm. So she did take him out of our facility, and then about a year later, she brought him back.
Okay.
When she brought him back, she asked for Miss Wendy, and she was like, I remember this one teacher, she used to love him. At this point, he had been diagnosed with autism, and so he was only coming to us in the afternoon. But when this little boy seen me, he was so happy. I would always say, I would say I need to find a man like my dad, but I need to find a man like Daniel. Because he would just rub my hair and be like, you're so beautiful, Miss Brinetta. You're my favorite. Every day he would come in, give me a little flower or something that he would have made, and he was just the sweetest little boy. And he was very smart. He was very intelligent. Like, as long as, I always tell people, as long as you get your child help early, they can outgrow and overcome what the odds say they cannot.
Yes.
And he was definitely one of those children who
Wow.
did that.
So where's Daniel now?
Daniel passed away.
Oh.
He was 4 years old. This was probably about 2 years ago. He passed away. He had an asthma attack on a Sunday. And on that next Monday, his mom came in and told us, and my heart just broke.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that. But I'm glad that he had an opportunity to express his love. And then when you said that you got to find a man like Daniel, in actuality, he's like your dad. So it's almost like the same thing. And I'm just we would definitely continue to pray for the mom. What you got a moment that you see in the center that you will never forget, a good moment that you'll never forget?
A good moment that I will never forget.
Yeah.
I would say when we became 5 stars.
Okay.
Oh, we were so excited.
Really?
Oh, we were so excited. And one of the hard parts about becoming 5 stars is when you have people who have been in this field for a long time, getting them out of their way. They don't want to hear nothing about learning through play. Children are supposed to sit down. They're supposed to learn at the table. So when you have people who are more old school and been in this field for a long time, I remember when we first started trying to be a part of the Stars, I would say, maybe this might not be the place for you because this is what we're trying to do. You can't do the old school way no more.
Right.
And some people would quit. Some people couldn't take the way the Stars work, and it was the best thing for us. So that's what we continue to do. So when we became 5 stars and people seen that we are capable of doing this, we kind of just like screamed through the hallways and it was just like a whole party. And ever since we've been 5 stars. So.
Amen. Well, that's good. And it has really been a joy talking with you. I've not heard you talk this much, other than the one time you did a seminar. So before we let you go, you do stuff on the side, meaning some seminars and things of that nature. I want you to talk to me a little bit about what you do in your profession as well, because I know you're the director and you got a lot of stuff going over there, but you take time to help develop others. So share a little bit of that with us.
So I also have a business called Be Brighter Visions, and with that, I give classes which are quality assured trainings through the University of Delaware website. So I can travel to different daycare centers and give their staffs trainings, and they are quality assured trainings. I also counsel on the side. So on the weekends after work, I'll have appointments with people and just counsel them, whether it's children or adults. They may be some of our people in the center, maybe just random people who I get referred to. I just really like helping people become their best selves. So I do that also on the side, and I currently have a new business venture going on, so stay tuned for that. I don't know if I can speak on it yet.
Oh, well, then don't do it. But I got a question for you then. How can someone get in touch with Ms. Bright? How can someone, do you have a Facebook? Do you have tell us how we can get in touch with you?
I have a website. It's called BeBrighterVisions.com.
Okay.
My office is an extension inside of our second building. So you can also locate me there. You could call the number 302-328-3700. Contact me that way. Yes, but I recently just did a TED Talk also. So if you go on my website, you'll be able to see a TED Talk. Childhood trauma is something that I am just like intrigued with. So that's what my TED Talk is on.
Yeah. So what's going to happen with Linda's Angels in the future? What's coming with Linda? I heard you about your venture, but with Linda Angels, what's director? What's new? What's going to happen? Are we going to shrink? Are we going to grow? What's going to happen?
I don't know if we plan to grow anymore. We're pretty large now. People say all the time, you don't do nothing, you don't work, and I'd be like, only if you knew. Like, it is a lot of work. Just even mentally being in this position, because you take on so much, especially when, like I said, I am into people and their lives and them doing better with themselves. So I'm very like emotionally involved with my staff. So when you got a staff of 36 people and 200 and something kids, can be draining on your body. So for us, my new business venture actually has a lot to do with us. But I just want us to continue to just flourish and be the best that we can be.
Good.
The one piece of advice that my grandpa gave me that I always tell people is, if you're going to do something, be the best at it. There's no point of doing it if you're not going to be the best at it. So I just want us to continue to be the best, my staff, to keep on growing, keep learning, keep loving, keep just giving to this young generation, because they need it. It's important that they go somewhere every day that they felt loved and they feel just a sense of care.
Right.
And so that's my main focus.
Good. So in other words, you're moving past the quantity to quality at this point. Absolutely. Well, this is the time of the show when I embarrass people or make people laugh. Either one, but it's going to be either or. So is there a guy like your dad in the site right now?
Oh man, yes, it is.
Oh, it is. I was going to tell the folks how to contact you.
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay. We don't ever ask you to say the name because it may be 2 or 3, and I want to make sure that you know.
No, it's just one. His name is Patrick.
Patrick?
Yes, Patrick.
Okay. Is Patrick from Delaware?
No, he's from Wisconsin. Milwaukee. Yes.
Oh, okay. She went across the world to find somebody like Dad. Are y'all serious?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Very good. Is he coming to Delaware, or is he already in Delaware?
He's already in Delaware.
Okay.
He moved here for his job. He's been to the drive-in service with me quite a few times.
Oh.
Yes.
So now she's telling me that I've been here. That's her way of telling me that she's been here. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Because I all too often when young women and men are doing well in their career and doing well in their life, the piece that's always taking a hit is their personal life. You're doing so much. You're helping so many people. To hear that you have someone as a part of your personal life, that's just a blessing from the Lord. And I'm grateful for that. And I pray that y'all will do well. And I'm looking forward to pulling y'all together if the Lord say that's the route we're going to go. Is there anything, I can feel your mother laughing. Is there anything you would like to share with some young person who's out there right now, who want to make some things happen? But is there anything you want to just share for the good of the day?
Like I said, I love childhood trauma, so I will say that don't let your trauma become you.
Yeah, okay.
Allow it to develop you. Use your trauma to become your purpose. Because a lot of times people don't face their trauma. They run from it.
Yes.
And when you face it, you realize that me facing that has developed a purpose.
Okay.
It may not make you money at the time, but you may help so many people by facing your trauma. And I think that's just, a story is important, because you look at people every day, you don't know their story. But sharing your story and being vocal about your story and not letting what you go through become you, but allowing yourself to come out of it, is very important.
Excellent.
And in this world today, resilience is everything. You have to be a resilient individual. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in God, and you have to love yourself, and you can overcome anything. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you so much. Miss Bright, I gotta say Miss Bright because I never get your name right. Say it for me one more time.
Brinetta.
Brinetta. I gotta get that right, but I do know you're bright. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I had an opportunity to have your mom here last week. Now this week I got you, and this is great. This speaks to the strength of what's going on over at Linda's Angels. So thank you so much, and you were very much of a blessing to our staff. We're going to bring you back for the staff because you did such a great job with them. And I wish Patrick all the success in the world with you, and I hope he is that guy like Mr. Bright, all right? So we'll be right back.
Okay, then started the puzzle.
Because our teachers teach self-regulation, our students are better able to manage their feelings.
That's a smile.
No.
That's angry.
They're better able to verbalize their emotions and what they're going through.
What's wrong?
Those make you feel.
They're ready to speak about their problems and not react to their problems. And by doing that, they're ready to go to that next level. If you looked into a typical classroom here at Educare, you're like, oh, all they're doing is just playing all day. They're just like they're having fun. But there's intentionality behind everything. One of the things that teachers focus on is self-regulation. I would say that skill set of self-regulation is actually the most important because you're setting that child up for success.
We've realized that if a child is not able to actually focus and manage and cope, then they're not learning. So Conscious Discipline is our research-based social-emotional program that we use in the classrooms. Conscious Discipline isn't about managing behaviors, it's about giving the students the tools to direct it themselves.
I commit to use my big voice. I commit to listen to my friends' big voices. I commit to using kind words. I commit to keep my classroom safe.
Conscious Discipline gives the students and the teachers the language to work through things. It's about using your words in a positive way.
Elon's trying to tell you something. Can you listen to Elon's words? She's using her big voice. You can handle this, okay? You are safe. You are loved. You can handle this.
In previous classrooms that I've had, we didn't give them the means to articulate their feelings.
Can you show me how you're feeling right now? That's angry and sad and happy and silly and tired and worried, surprised and scared and cranky. Which one are you feeling right now?
If you don't give them the language that they need, they can't communicate what their needs are.
Okay.
But when we give them those big words, they're like, oh, I'm not scared, I'm not mad, but I'm frustrated. And they know there's nuances to how we feel and what we think. We're always telling them, use your words and not your hands. But what words?
Or I don't like when you grab my hood.
When the kids are able to say, I don't like it when you push me, will you please stop? The other child knows what they did. And then you have a relationship building moment instead of a tension moment. If I do what I'm supposed to do when they're transitioning from early childhood to kindergarten, when they're in second grade, they'll be able to use these skills. And then they can share them with their classmates. In third grade, fourth grade, you won't have the disruption. You can just teach.
Remember, it's my job to keep you safe and it's your job. What's your job? To stay that way. High five.
And we're back. I'm so grateful that we had an opportunity to really use this month as our month of education. And we're seeing in the field of education so many different types of personalities, so many different types of passions. And today we had an opportunity to sit with Miss Bright, and she is phenomenal. She is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I'm grateful that she's over there with Linda and doing some great things. But what really touched me today is how she's able to touch the lives of people in a more of a general way as well. Not just in the field of education, but for those who need some psychological support, those who need stability. She's able to do those things as well. And I think that's great. That's why I don't believe in saying that we are daycare centers or daycare providers. This is an academic institution over there at Linda's as well as here, but over at Linda's. And with her being on that staff, that shows that they are committed to the community upon which they serve. So I hope and trust you enjoyed today's show. I want to make sure that you follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Zion Fair Baptist Church. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. We're going to get together again. But until that time, God bless you.
Did it before, he could do it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and I won't give in. No, I'm not gonna turn around. Yeah, I know I win if I don't give up now. I am waiting for my change to come, and I know he will come through. And this is how I'm so sure. If he did it